Hello and welcome to the Hoof GP. Today we're on our way to see a lovely big friendly Hereford bull. We had 2 bulls in and this bull was the second one, and he had a surprise in store for us, which I really didn't expect. We've actually been back one time since that visit to see how he was getting on, and he wasn't doing great if I'm honest. So now we're headed back once again for the 3rd visit, and I'm hoping he's doing much better than he once was. This Hereford bull had a bad back left foot, and that's all I thought was wrong with him, but when we picked up his back right, it was actually much worse than the back left. So we had to be a little bit innovative, and I knew this wouldn't be in his immediate best interests, but for longevity and for the greater good of long-term comfort, I knew, or at least I hoped, it would be. Right, let's get to the farm and I'll explain this a little more in depth.
And I won't let it rush when I see you dance, and the moment comes when I fall and time goes slow. I fall into you.
And just like that, we're here. Time to get the kids out and get set up.
Is that us here?
Yep, that's us. Out you get. So a lot of times people ask if there's problems on both claws, what do you do? And in this case, we actually picked the slightly more sore claw, but tried to keep the weight off that sore part of that claw so that the inner claw would have a chance to heal. And that way, we'll be able to put a block onto the inner claw once it was completely healed. You see, it wasn't going to take very long to heal, about a week or so. So when we returned a week later, he was in a fair amount of pain. The farmer had been treating him with pain relieving drugs, anti-inflammatories, and actually antibiotics, and now it was time to change over the block onto what was now the good foot. Right, that hair's horrendous. Let's get him in though.
The image you're seeing on the left-hand side of the screen is as he was just 1 week ago, after our 2nd visit.
There you go, boy.
And this is how he is now.
Definitely going much better than he was. Look at that. That's good. Good boy, on you go. Good boy. That's our boy. Come on. Try not to get squashed here. He's really not wanting to go in, but he has to.
Sometimes I'm asked whether cows and bulls are happy to see me and glad to go in the crush because they know I'm there to help them. But unfortunately, that is far from the truth. Usually, they're anything but glad to see me.
Predictably, because it's a Saturday, I've forgotten my gloves. Okay, so it's been some time and this block has now come off. But this looks like it's healed up fairly well. So let's trim back all of this loose and raggedy horn and see if it's good.
In the very first visit, this was how his back left foot was looking. He was in extreme pain and didn't want to touch the ground. That hole led to a whole lot of pain. But this is how he's looking now, just 2 and a little bit weeks later, and I'm really keen to see if it has completely healed or not.
We'll just double and triple check this actually has healed, because looks can be deceiving. Although he is walking on it really well now. This was the foot he could barely bring himself to touch the ground with, believe it or not. And that is a success. So if we flash up originally what it looked like, and then what it looked like on that last visit, this is how he's doing now. He still has got some bruising here, clearly, which will cause him a slight amount of discomfort, but I don't want to put too much more pressure on this by adding a block, otherwise he might go lame on here. Plus, he's on a straw bed anyway, so that reduced amount of wear because of the straw padding means this will have a chance to thicken up and heal completely. Although it pretty much has already completely healed, it just needs to thicken up to allow this bruising to disperse. Right, next foot. So if we remember, if we flash up, In the original video, he was really sore in here. That was a sole fracture, and then he had an axial wall crack right up the inside of this foot. So we put the block on here, which seems crazy, because this would heal very rapidly and very easily, and I was 100% sure this would heal. And look, if we press it now, no reaction whatsoever, it's not even soft. So we were right to do so. He was in a bit of discomfort because the block was placed on here, but for the greater good, we needed to heal this to be allowed to put a block on this foot long term to heal this problem. Does that make sense? Right, we're gonna go ahead and quickly clean all of this up to have a better look. So the wound is still slightly open in here if you look closely, but it is much, much better. This is starting to granulate, so the horn is starting to form here. I actually think it would be better higher off the ground though, just to dry out a little bit more. So all we're going to do this time is debride the area. In other words, we're going to take away all the sharp and raggedy horn from around this lesion, so that it's not jagging into it and poking into it and insulting it. By insulting, I don't mean like slagging it off and calling it names. I mean grating on it and opening it up. Look, there's Campbell. Hi, Campbell.
Hi.
Right, so ever so carefully, we're going to take away these little chunks of horn that aren't perfect. See, there's brown hoof horn there, grey hoof horn, sorry, which means it's underrun. You see, horn is actually translucent. It's see-through, which is fantastic for hoof trimmers because it means we can judge how thin the hoof horn is or if there's anything underneath it. Just spray that off so we can see what we're doing a bit better. As you can see, Campbell's in the background really helping by unravelling all of the bandages. Thanks, Campbell. That was sarcasm, folks. You see this here? Reach in there and try to cut that out and hope he doesn't flinch. I'm just gonna... Yeah, that is 100% healed. Just scratching the kind of stainedness, the darker hoof horn off the top just to check. This is much better too. Just make sure there's nothing bad there. Okay, so there's a really small graze right in there, and that's just from the knife actually touching the corium. But I'm sure you'll agree at how much better that is looking now. Trusted iodine. This is looking really, really positive for this bull. That back left foot is completely healed now. This back right inside claw is completely healed. And the back right outside claw is well on its way to a full recovery. But just to ensure that it keeps progressing in the right way, we are going to attach a block over the top of this horseshoe block. By putting a block on here, it's not going to affect this area at all because all of the weight will be transferred through its white line and not onto that old sore lesion, or at least it was sore before it was healed, but it will give greater height to this and keep this out of the dirt just that little bit more. So we're using a TP horseshoe block and then a bio block from TP on top of it. And if you look underneath, there's still a void right underneath here, so it's not touching that old sole fracture. But this axial wall fissure will have sufficient time and height to heal. I like stories like this. This bull was seriously lame just a couple of weeks ago, and with a bit of ingenuity and a bit of thinking outside of the box, we're getting there. We really are. And I'm pretty sure we'll complete the mission. Anyway, let's get back out of this crush and see how he's walking now. Right, they say the proof of the pudding is in the walking. I say that. So let's see how that goes. That's the reverse out. And I'll follow. Come big boy. Back in the straw pen, happy as Larry.